The rain pounded against the window of our tiny dorm room like an insistent heartbeat, mirroring the chaos swirling inside me as I stood there, frozen, watching her pack her bags. It was the end of our sophomore year, and Jamie, my roommate, my confidant, the girl who'd turned my world upside down without even trying, was leaving for the summer. But it wasn't just the separation that clawed at my chest. It was the secret I'd buried so deep it ached like a bruise. I'd fallen for her hard and irrevocably in ways that friendship couldn't contain. Her laughter had become my favorite sound. Her casual touches, brushing past me in the cramped space, her hand lingering on my shoulder, a spark that ignited something forbidden and thrilling. And now, as she folded her clothes with that effortless grace, her dark curls falling over her eyes, I felt the weight of unspoken words pressing down. What if I told her? What if this goodbye shattered everything? I remembered the day we met, freshman orientation, when the housing office paired us randomly. She burst into the room with boxes towering in her arms, her smile wide and unapologetic, like she owned the space already. I was the quiet one, huddled over my laptop, pretending to organize my schedule while my nerves twisted into knots. From the start, there was an ease between us, a silent understanding that made the awkwardness of sharing a shoebox-sized room feel like an adventure. We'd stay up late, the glow of string lights casting soft shadows on the walls, sharing stories from our hometowns, hers a bustling city full of energy, mine a sleepy suburb where nothing ever changed. I felt seen in a way I never had before, her eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that made my pulse quicken. As weeks turned to months, our routines intertwined like vines. Mornings began with the scent of her vanilla coffee wafting through the air, pulling me from sleep with a warmth that settled in my bones. I'd watch her from my bed, pretending to scroll on my phone as she stretched in her pajamas, the fabric clinging just enough to hint at the curves beneath. It was innocent at first, this admiration, but soon it evolved into something deeper, a longing that whispered in the quiet moments. One evening, during a campus storm that knocked out the power, we huddled under blankets on her bed, our knees touching, the thunder rumbling like a distant warning. Her hand found mine in the dark, squeezing gently, and I felt a jolt that traveled straight to my heart. Was it just comfort? Or did she feel it too, the electricity that hummed between us? The twist came subtly, like a shadow creeping across the floor. I'd always assumed Janie was straight, her stories peppered with mentions of high school crushes on boys, but there were moments that made me question everything. Like the time we went to a party, the bass thumping through our bodies, and she pulled me onto the dance floor, her hips swaying against mine in a rhythm that felt too intimate for friends. Her breath on my neck, warm and teasing, left me breathless, my mind racing with possibilities. Or the way she'd look at me sometimes, her gaze lingering a beat too long, as if she were seeing through my carefully constructed walls. I pushed it down, convinced it was wishful thinking, but the curiosity gnawed at me, building a tension that made every interaction feel charged. Nights blurred into a haze of shared secrets. We'd lie on the floor, backs against the carpet, staring at the ceiling as we confessed our fears, mine about failing classes, hers about never finding a place where she truly belonged. In those vulnerable hours, I felt a pull toward her, magnetic and undeniable. Her scent, a mix of lavender shampoo and something uniquely her, would envelop me, making it hard to focus on anything else. Once, after a particularly grueling exam week, she collapsed beside me on my bed, her head resting on my pillow, and I traced the outline of her profile in the dim light, my heart aching with unspoken affection. What was this? Friendship didn't make my skin tingle like this, didn't make me dream of her lips brushing mine. The emotional hook tightened as winter break approached that first year. I dreaded the emptiness of the room without her, the silence that would echo her absence. On our last night, we shared a pizza on the floor, grease staining our fingers, and she leaned in close, wiping a smudge from my cheek with her thumb. The touch lingered, her eyes searching mine, and for a split second, I thought she might close the distance. But she pulled back, laughing it off, and I was left with a hollow ache, wondering if I'd imagined the spark. That moment replayed in my mind during the break, a visual curiosity that haunted me, her face so close, her breath mingling with mine, the what-if hanging like a promise unfulfilled. Returning to campus felt like coming home, but to her more than the place. She greeted me with a hug that lasted longer than necessary, her arms wrapping around me tightly, and I melted into it, inhaling her familiar scent. From then on, the lines blurred further. We'd study together, our legs tangled under the desk, her foot occasionally brushing mine in a way that sent shivers up my spine. I found excuses to be near her, borrowing her hoodie just to feel the fabric that had touched her skin, or sitting closer than needed during movie nights, our shoulders pressing together. The friendship was deepening, but so was the undercurrent of something more, a romance sparking in the quiet spaces between words. As spring bloomed, so did my feelings, unfurling like petals under the sun. I caught myself staring at her lips when she spoke, imagining their softness, or feeling a pang of jealousy when she mentioned hanging out with other friends. It was terrifying, this shift, because what if it ruined everything? Yet, the curiosity pulled me forward, a twist in our story that I couldn't ignore. Was she feeling it too? The way her hand would slip into mine during walks across campus, fingers intertwining naturally, suggested maybe, just maybe, our friendship was becoming something more profound, something that would change us forever. Jamie was everything I wasn't bold where I was reserved, her energy filling the room like sunlight piercing through clouds. With her olive skin glowing under the dorm's fluorescent lights, and those expressive brown eyes that seemed to hold entire worlds, she captivated me from the start. Her laugh was infectious, a melody that danced through our shared space, making even the most mundane days feel alive. I remember the first time I truly noticed her, not as a roommate, but as someone who stirred something deep within me. It was during a late-night cram session, papers scattered like fallen leaves, and she stretched, her shirt riding up to reveal a sliver of toned midriff. My gaze lingered, heat rising to my cheeks, and I quickly looked away, pretending to focus on my notes. But the image stayed, a spark igniting the slow burn of attraction. Our connection built gradually, like a tapestry woven thread by thread. Mornings became rituals. I'd wake to the sound of her humming in the shower, the steam carrying hints of her citrus body wash. When she emerged, towel-draped and carefree, she'd flop onto my bed, sharing dreams from the night before. I'd listen, mesmerized by the way her wet curls framed her face, droplets tracing paths down her neck. It was in these intimate moments that the chemistry simmered, her proximity making my heart race, her casual touches sending ripples through me. Once, while helping me with a stubborn knot in my necklace, her fingers grazed the nape of my neck, and I shivered, our eyes meeting in the mirror. The air thickened, charged with unspoken possibility, and I wondered if she felt the same pull. As friendship deepened, so did the romantic undercurrents. We'd explore the campus together, hands brushing as we walked, the accidental contacts evolving into deliberate ones. During a picnic under blooming cherry trees, petals drifting like snow, she leaned against me, her head on my shoulder, and I felt a warmth spread through my chest. Her scent mingled with the floral air, and I closed my eyes, savoring the closeness. Inner thoughts raced. This feels right, like puzzle pieces fitting. But fear whispered too, what if I'm reading it wrong? The slow build was exquisite torture, each shared glance, each lingering touch, fanning the flames. Humor lightened the tension, like the time she tried cooking dinner in our makeshift kitchenette, smoke billowing from burnt pasta. I teased her silently in my mind, waving a towel to clear the air, our laughter echoing as we opted for takeout instead. In those light-hearted moments, pain from my past surfaced, my high school isolation, feeling like an outsider for my unspoken attractions. Jamie healed that without knowing, her acceptance a balm. She'd share her own vulnerabilities, like her fear of commitment after a messy breakup, and I'd feel a pang, hoping I could be the one to change that. Sensory details painted our world vividly. The softness of her hand in mine during crowded lectures, slipping under the desk for secret support, the taste of shared ice cream cones on hot afternoons, her tongue darting out to catch drips, making my stomach flip. One evening, as twilight painted the sky in hues of pink and orange, we sat on the roof of our dorm, legs dangling over the edge. She brushed a strand of hair from my face, her fingers trailing down my cheek, and time slowed. The touch was electric, awakening desires I'd long suppressed. My inner monologue swirled. I want more than this friendship. I want her. The spark ignited fully during a campus festival, lights twinkling like stars, music pulsing through the night. We danced close, bodies swaying in sync, her hands on my waist guiding me. Sweat glistened on her skin, and as the crowd surged, she pulled me nearer, our breaths mingling. In that moment, the chemistry crackled, undeniable. Later, walking back, her arm around my shoulders, I felt hope bloom. Maybe this was the beginning of something more. But doubts crept in, shadows in the light. Jamie mentioned a date with someone from class, a girl she'd met at a study group, and jealousy twisted like a knife. I smiled through it, but inside, longing ached. Our connection was real, yet fragile, built on unspoken truths. As we settled into bed that night, her across the room, I stared at the ceiling, thoughts racing. What if I confess? The slow burn romance was intoxicating, each day adding layers of emotion, drawing us closer in ways that felt inevitable. Physical closeness became our language, cuddling during scary movies, her body pressed against mine, heartbeats sinking, resting my head on her lap as she played with my hair, fingers gentle and soothing. These moments built the foundation, a bridge from friendship to love. One rainy afternoon, confined to our room, we built a fort from blankets, giggling like kids. Inside, knees touching, the air grew warm, her eyes locking on mine with an intensity that made my pulse thunder. I leaned in instinctively, our foreheads almost touching, and felt the spark leap, a promise of more. The emotional layers deepened with shared healing. Jamie opened up about her family's expectations, the pressure to conform, and I shared my own struggles with identity, feeling a bond forge in vulnerability. It was romantic, this exchange of souls, sparking a fire that warmed from within. As summer neared again, the chemistry peaked, our interactions laced with tension. I'd catch her watching me, a soft smile playing on her lips, and wonder, does she feel this too? The curiosity looped, pulling me forward into the unknown. The turning point came unexpectedly, like a storm cloud bursting without warning. It was midway through junior year, our room a haven amid the chaos of classes and part-time jobs. I'd grown accustomed to the rhythm of us, waking to her smile, falling asleep to her steady breathing, but beneath it all, my feelings had swelled into a tide I could no longer hold back. One crisp autumn evening, after a long day, we returned from the library, arms laden with books. As we unpacked, her phone buzzed incessantly, and though she silenced it, I caught a glimpse of the name, an ex from high school, a girl she'd mentioned in passing with a wistful tone. Jealousy flared, hot and unbidden, but I pushed it down. That night, as we prepared for bed, the air felt heavier. She slipped under her covers, but instead of turning away, she patted the space beside her. "Come here," her gesture implied, and I did, heart pounding. We lay side by side, the mattress dipping under our weight, our bodies inches apart. The room was dim, lit only by the moon filtering through the blinds, casting silver streaks across her face. My thoughts raced. This is it, the moment everything changes. Slowly, tentatively, I reached out, my hand finding hers under the sheets. She didn't pull away. Instead, her fingers intertwined with mine, a silent affirmation that sent warmth flooding through me. But then the twist unfolded. As we lay there, her breathing deepened, and in the quiet, she shifted closer, her leg brushing mine. The contact was electric, awakening every nerve. I turned toward her, our faces so near I could feel her breath on my lips. Time stretched, suspended, and then it happened, our first kiss. It was soft, exploratory, her lips pressing against mine with a gentleness that unraveled me. No words, just the sensation of her mouth moving with mine, tasting of mint and possibility. My hand cupped her cheek, drawing her closer, and she responded, her body arching slightly toward me. The kiss deepened, a slow dance of tongues and sighs, my heart soaring as years of longing poured out. We pulled back, eyes meeting in the moonlight, and I saw it there, reciprocation, a mirror to my own desire. But as the high faded, doubt crept in. What did this mean? Was it a momentary lapse or the start of something real? The next morning, she acted normal, brewing coffee as usual, but her touches lingered longer, her smiles warmer. The shift was subtle yet profound, our friendship evolving into uncharted territory. Days blurred into a haze of stolen moments. During a walk through the leaf-strewn paths, she slipped her hand into mine openly, fingers lacing tightly, and I felt a thrill of possession. But the complication arose when her family visited for Parents' Weekend. I watched from afar as she hugged her parents, their conservative vibes palpable even at a distance. She introduced me as her roommate, nothing more, and a pang hit me fear of exposure, of labels that might shatter this fragile bloom. Inner turmoil churned. What if they disapprove? What if she regrets us? The twist deepened during a late-night study break. We were on her bed, notes forgotten, when she leaned in for our second kiss. This one was hungrier, her hands sliding under my shirt, tracing the curve of my spine. I gasped inwardly, body responding as she guided me, strokes deliberate and knowing. Right there, my mind echoed her unspoken cues, our bodies syncing in a rhythm that built to shared peaks. It was intimate, empowering, her touch unraveling my walls, revealing a vulnerability I'd hidden. In the afterglow, limbs entwined, hearts sinking, I felt safe, affirmed in our queer joy. But as we drifted to sleep, her first night fully in my arms, warmth enveloping us, whispers of fears surfaced in my thoughts, her past, my insecurities. The emotional shift intensified as we navigated this new dynamic. Physical closeness became constant, brushing hair back during breakfast, leaning into each other on the couch, heads on shoulders during quiet evenings. But external obstacles loomed, campus gossip, her ex texting again. One evening, after a tense call, she curled into me, vulnerability raw. We fell asleep together again, her body molding to mine, the comfort profound. In the vulnerability of night, thoughts of hopes and secrets deepened our bond, but the twist lingered. Could we survive the complications ahead? Suspense built as midterms approached, our connection a lifeline amid stress. Yet a letter from home arrived for her, words unspoken, but their weight evident in her distant gaze. Curiosity gnawed. What secret is she hiding? The turning point left me breathless, our romance teetering on the edge of revelation or ruin. Quick reminder, if you're enjoying this story, hit subscribe to Sapphic Tales so you don't miss the next one. Tension coiled like a spring as senior year dawned, our secret romance a delicate thread woven through the fabric of daily life. The kisses multiplied, our third in the shower's steam, water cascading over us as lips met in urgent need, the fourth under a starlit sky during a campus bonfire, her mouth claiming mine amid crackling flames. Each one deepened the stakes, but so did the fears. Internally, I battled self-doubt. Was I enough for her? Externally, obstacles mounted her family's expectations, whispered like ghosts in her stories of holidays past, where conformity reigned. Emotional escalation hit during a weekend getaway to a nearby cabin, borrowed from a friend. The drive was filled with anticipation, her hand on my thigh, a promise of uninterrupted time. Arriving, the rustic space enveloped us in pine scents and crackling firelight. We explored each other with newfound freedom, hands roaming under shirts, tracing paths that elicited shivers. Her touch was guiding, strokes along my back curving my spine in response, our bodies sinking to peaks of release. Internal walls crumbled, she sees me truly. But as we lay entwined, synced hearts beating as one, doubts surfaced. What if this bliss is temporary? Back on campus, conflict brewed. Jamie's ex reappeared, not just texts, but a surprise visit, stirring jealousy that twisted my gut. I watched them talk from afar, her laughter forced, and fear gripped me. Is she slipping away? The tension grew, our interactions laced with unspoken strain. One night, after a heated argument in my mind, her late returns, my imagined scenarios, we fell into bed, but sleep evaded. Instead, we held each other, physical closeness a balm, hand-holding under covers, her head on my shoulder. In the quiet, thoughts of fears and hopes flowed, her professional dreams clashing with family pressure, my longing for permanence. It deepened us, but the stakes rose. Just a quick pause. If you're enjoying this, hit that subscribe button and stay with us here on Sapphic Tales. External pressures amplified. A professor's warning about distractions, campus events pulling us apart. Humor faded, replaced by pain nights where she'd stare at the ceiling, lost in thought, and I'd ache to bridge the gap. Sensory overload heightened the conflict, the chill of her absence when she stayed out late, the bitterness of coffee alone. Longing turned to heartbreak, curiosity looping, will we break? Intimacy shifted, more emotional than physical. During a storm that mirrored our turmoil, we huddled together, limbs entwined, affirmations whispering in my mind, this feels safe. But obstacles persisted, her internship offer in another city, a potential goodbye. Tension peaked as graduation loomed, our romance of battleground of hope and fear. Internal fears clawed, losing her would shatter me. The escalation left me raw, stakes sky high, wondering if love could conquer the chaos. The climax crashed over us like a wave, pulling us under in a torrent of emotion. It was the night before her internship interview, tension thick as fog. We'd argued in silence, her pacing, me withdrawn, until it boiled over into a desperate embrace. Our fifth kiss was fierce, lips crashing together in a storm of need, hands clutching as if to anchor against the pull. But as passion ebbed, tears came, hers first, then mine, a breakdown of walls long held. She confessed through actions, curling into me, body trembling, and I held her, heartbreaking. The crisis deepened. Her family discovered hints of us, a leaked photo from a party, sparking calls of disapproval. Fear gripped her, loss of support, identity clashing with expectations. I felt the goodbye looming, her bags half-packed in my mind, a turning point of potential ruin. Grief washed over me, professional stakes mingling with personal. My own job search faltered amid distraction. Don't forget, every week we share new tales. Subscribe to Sapphic Tales so you're always the first to hear them. In the emotional low, we spent the night together, first in pain, bodies close but spirits distant, then in release. Whispered topics of secrets surfaced, her childhood longings, my hidden heartbreaks. It was a confession without words, vulnerability raw. But the high came in reconciliation's dawn, as we synced again, touches gentle, peaks shared in empowered joy. Don't forget, more stories like this are waiting. Subscribe now to Sapphic Tales before we continue. The crisis peaked in a moment of discovery, finding her journal, pages filled with love for me, mirroring my own. Hope surged, but fear lingered, a goodbye letter drafted, internship calling. The emotional swing left me reeling, climax a whirlwind of heartbreak and possibility. Resolution bloomed slowly, like dawn after the darkest night. After the crisis, we separated briefly, her to the interview, me to reflection, but distance clarified. She returned, eyes bright with decision, turning down the faraway offer for something local, choosing us. Reconciliation unfolded in our room, bodies drawing close, hands intertwining under the table during a shared meal. The first night back together was profound, falling asleep entwined, warmth seeping into wounds, vulnerability transforming into strength. Emotional healing deepened with bedside moments, thoughts of futures shared, fears laid bare, hopes intertwining. Intimacy returned, tasteful and cinematic, hands guiding, bodies sinking, afterglow of synced hearts affirming our bond. The storm of conflict gave way to connection, queer joy empowered. Transformation was complete as graduation neared, our love a lasting tie. Reflection settled. She was my roommate, but became my everything, friendship evolving into profound romance. If it kept you hooked, subscribe now to Sapphic Tales so you never miss the next. In poetic closure, I gazed at her sleeping form, heartful, knowing our story was just beginning.